Show the time to be 7 o'clock. We will call the Somervell County Hospital District regular board meeting for April 28, 2016 to order. Show that all members are present with the exception of John Parker. Would you do the invocation and the pledge, please?
Yes. Pray with me, please. Father, we're thankful this day and the blessings that you provide us with. Father, you just bless us beyond measure, and we're so thankful for that. Father, we're thankful for people that serve patients, and people that directly provide the care to those patients, and then those of us that provide service in an indirect manner. Father, it's a privilege and an honor to be part of the business of taking care of patients. Father, just pray that you would bless those that directly take care of the patients. Father, be with this board, be with this board as it makes decisions that relate to the hospital, and Father, we just pray that those decisions that are made will benefit the hospital and the community. Father, we just ask for your direction and ask you to watch over us and give us guidance in all that we do. Just pray in your name, Father. Amen.
Amen.
Just stand with me, please, and we pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 5 is to discuss and, if necessary, take action on amending approval of minutes from previous board meetings for March 31st, 2016 at 7 p.m. and April 7th, 2016 at 1:30 p.m. I'm assuming y'all got those. Oh, let the record show that John Parker has arrived. Have y'all looked over the minutes, or y'all need a minute? I guess that's all. I see one.
I'll look at it. I'll second if you'll move it.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any changes to be made? I glanced at them. I did not see anything glaring to me, but I think Nina's done a fine job of transcribing what we did. So,
Got a motion second.
yeah, motion and second. So, no discussion, no amendments. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Show that passes 7-0. Item number 6 is the CFO report, and so Becky will tell us about the report on our monthlies and year-to-date financials and our 11-15 funding, please.
Glad to. In March, our actual admissions for the month, we were at 44 with a budget of 45. The prior month, we were at 39. Gross revenue, $4,556,577. Our salaries for the hospital, $528,917 with a budget of $490,876. Our benefits, we were at $206,113 with a budget of $197,758. And our net revenue for the month, $1,180,181 with a budget of $1,046,566. Some of our benchmarks we look at, salaries as a percent of net revenue, we were at 45% with a benchmark of less than 47. Budget versus actual salaries, we were over budget by $38,041. That had to do with the outage salaries and some increased salaries in lab, since we took it in-house. And also our rehab department that's kind of ramped up, especially where it could con. Our ratio of salaries and benefits to net revenue, we were at 62% with a benchmark of less than 66%, excuse me. Our supplies for the month, $163,954 with a budget of $175,056. Professional services, $169,708 with a budget of $158,597. Our repairs and maintenance, we were at $33,655 with a budget of $29,152. Our indigent services, $39,994 with a budget of $34,442. And our total expenses for the month, we were at $1,381,249 with a budget of $1,319,789. Our cash collections versus net revenue, we were at 87% with a benchmark of greater than 98%. And our days of cash on hand, we are at 8 with a budget or a benchmark of 45 plus. So even though the collections were at 87%, we still collected over $1 million in the business office. We collected $1,024,828, and our net revenue again $1,180,182. And the only other thing I have is even though it's not going to show up in March as far as collections, this last week we received our IGT back in the amount of $85,000. We had sent up $35,000 at the beginning of April, got back $85,000. We also received a favorable cost report, and we received back $51,000. And then we also got our tobacco settlement, which was less than the year before. We only received $48,000, but still a good amount. And that's all I have.
All right, any questions or comments for Becky? I'll take that as no, so we'll move on to the CEO report, which is item number 7. Illuminate Somervell County Appraisal District, suit update, report on construction projects, report on progress of buildings being demolished, and the report on the elections progress.
I'll start with the Illuminate, and I guess I don't have any real news on that. We still haven't been paid by Illuminate. Just to give you a little brief history on that, whenever Illuminate paid us on January the 31st, we expected to be paid on a value of 1.6 million. They paid us half of that. So that has gone to trial. It was tried in district court. The judge ruled in our favor. He ruled a value of $2,222,000,000. However, the process continues to work its way through the court. There will be the way that works is after the judge makes his decision, there's a notice that has to be prepared. The attorneys have prepared that notice, and the winning side, I guess, prepares that. The attorneys representing us and the CAD prepared the notice, which is a detail of everything that took place in the trial and all the judges' rulings during the trial. Illuminate attorneys have taken exception to some of the items that are in the notice. There is a hearing of the 4th next week, on May the 4th at 9 a.m. on that, and shortly after that, in a matter of very few days, the judge will have his final notice, and he will sign that final notice, and then based on what is in the notice, Illuminate will then has 30 days to make a decision as to whether or not they are going to appeal or not. Now, they can't appeal the value, they can only appeal the rulings made by the judge, but if that appeal is being heard, I believe the value will be discussed at that time. But I guess we're sort of anxiously waiting that. They have 30 days. We think that'll take us to somewhere around June 10th, whenever that decision. Now, while during that 30 days, there can be some negotiation between the CAD and between Illuminate, our Energy Futures Holding, regarding the payment of penalty and interest, or regarding the value that's been established, because the trade-off is if Illuminate would agree to not appeal, there can be some concessions made by the CAD in terms of what that value might be and what to do with the penalty and interest. There also can be discussions potentially of a 2-year agreement on the value. You discuss the 2015 value. They can also discuss and could come to an agreement on that. If Illuminate decides not to appeal, they'll pay us our money. They'll pay all the entities the money. If they agree, if they should decide to go forward with an appeal, there's 2 things they can do. One of them is they can pay all the entities, all the taxing entities, their money, with the provision that if they win appeal, we'd have to pay the money back. The other thing they can do is they can post a bond, so that there's assurance that if they were to lose, or a value would then finally be established, during the appeal, that the dollars would be there to pay the taxing entities based on whatever that value is. So that's an anxious time for us. I will tell you that we as an organization are putting in place plans and contingencies based on what action is taken by Luminant, determining when they pay, how much they pay, and if they pay or not. So we're addressing that. It's something that we feel like as an organization we need to start addressing, and so we're moving forward on that. I mean, we'll look at the counts very carefully. We'll look at them tomorrow. You know, the Luminant, they're paying. They've already incurred a 7% penalty. They're paying interest at 1% a month, annual percentage rate of 12% on the unpaid taxes. So if they were to pay us up to the 1.6 or pay us any amount, they could avoid significant penalty and interest, or not penalty interest. Interest is 1%, $200,000 a month. So we'll take a look tomorrow. We'll take anything tomorrow. We'll take a look, and hopefully we're surprised. That's when you get your money, it'll be a surprise. That's true. But anyway, it's put us, as you saw in the cash flow. I mean, we got 8 days, and that's probably being a little bit objective, but it's put us at a significant disadvantage in terms of trying to meet all of our expenses. But we'll get through it. We're putting plans in place to address it, depending on what happens and where happens, and we'll move forward. Jim, do you have anything you would add to that?
Well, I think I'm probably letting the cat out of the bag here. I think some people do know this and some people don't. I think there's a certain amount, let me rephrase that. I know that there's a certain amount of heartburn with Luminant, specifically related to the Somervell County Hospital District. I believe that Luminant is trying to choke us to death. And Ray and I have had this discussion 2 or 3 times, and I've discussed it with other people around town. They were extremely unhappy that they were going to have to pay the new tax. I think a lot of people in town were. The problem with it is it was an unplanned expense for the nuclear plant. So several big wigs at the nuclear plant didn't get their bonus last year because they had to pay their tax. So now they're paying us back for that. And so I'll be wrong. I think if we close the doors today, they would pay their taxes to the rest of the taxing entities by close of business tomorrow. Unfortunately, I don't think that's an option. And as simple as that plan seems to close the hospital, does not mean the district goes away. The district is still responsible for the bond amount. That's ballpark $1 million. The county is, or the district is still responsible for indigent care. Indigent care now is somewhere between $400,000 and $600,000 a year, just kind of a general number. With that $500,000 there, if our indigents start going to other counties to get their hospital care, it ain't going to be $500,000. It's going to be double that, probably, because I think there's times here that our physicians just go ahead and give somebody a prescription or whatever, and it doesn't actually get filed on indigent. And so there's a lot of people that get seen here on charity care. Hood County's not giving us charity care. Johnson County will not give us charity care. And so we will start paying full freight for that. We get roughly, on the $1.6 billion valuation, we get roughly $2 million from the nuclear plant. Well, guess what? The hospital closes, they're still going to have to pay the $2 million. They're not going to save a dime from what they're paying now. And their employees and their families and our community doesn't have what we've got today. I think it sounds simple just to, make us go away, but I don't think that solves their problem, and I don't know that they actually realize that.
I would wager that they don't, Jim.
I would wager they don't either. And so,
I don't think they do.
and I'll be real honest, this will be on the internet tonight, and I'm hoping that they watch that and now realize that they're still going to have a $2 million bill whether they close the hospital or leave it open.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
If they wind up posting a bond, would the bond be something that we could go to banks with as collateral to borrow money to operate on?
I don't know the answer to that. Right now today, we believe that a lending bank or any other lending agency cannot take a lien on our tax revenue. I will tell you that we have talked with our attorney, with Kevin Reed, and he is investigating that to see if there is some opportunity for a bank to take a lien on that in some way, and I'll ask him to take a look at the bond piece of that too. Quite frankly, I mean, if we could figure out how a bank could take a lien on the money that's owed to us, I mean, the banks would be more than happy to loan us money.
I think there's a big difference between money being owed to us now and what may happen if they have to post a bond with the bonding company.
It's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll ask that, because I think it's a very good question. I really thank you for that, absolutely. But it's a different situation now. Yeah, good, very good. I'll tell you this, and we've done a little else, I guess, but look at this, and we know how to deal with these issues, and we'll deal with them. They're not closed down, I'll tell you that. They're not closed down. We know how to deal with it. We know how to deal with it in the short term. We know how to deal with it in the long term, and we'll come out of this. We'll come out of this. I won't tell you we'll come out whole, but I'll tell you we'll come out. So, just for what it's worth. That's all
I'll
I
just
have.
chime in and say that I agree with Chip, that no matter what, the debt's still there, it doesn't disappear.
No, I mean, I wish that it did. If that's the case, I'd close the hospital today. I'd open it back
I don't
up.
know anybody that wants it closed.
I'd open it back up tomorrow, and we'd call it something else, and we wouldn't have all this debt, but it doesn't work that way.
Everybody I know wants to keep emergency room services open no matter what. So closing is not an option.
No, I think we have to have an ER, period. And gosh, over in Granbury, they're building an ER on every street corner. And I'll tell you what's funny about that. There's people going there, they don't realize that is just like going to the ER here or the ER in Fort Worth or wherever. You're still paying full ER service. If you go in there and you need an aspirin, it's a couple of grand. So it's a...
And just so to reassure the board, we're not doing this without counsel with our attorney. All of our plans that we're putting together, the contingency plans that we're putting together, we're making sure that we keep get the appropriate advice from our attorney, so whenever we take an action, we're not jeopardizing the hospital license. Let me say it that way. Okay, anything else on that? Construction projects, I believe, hopefully they will not be on the agenda next time. Those have both been completed. We're in full operation. We had an open house out with our therapy department out in Pecan, and I'll tell you, Dr. Carver told us, that there's a lot of patients out there, and that department is really doing well out there and also across the street. And then we're also seeing patients in the treatment area, the physician treatment area out there. So those are completed, and hopefully they'll go off the agenda. I didn't look out at the lot in the last day or two. Somebody tell me if the buildings are down or not.
They're about like they were a week ago.
Okay, the weather is really giving them a hard time, and that I'll tell you this, they communicate with us on a regular basis to tell us that when the weather compromises what we're trying to do, so they'll get through it, they'll get it done. On the election, I'll tell you that we're set up, and we're holding the election downstairs. I will say that turnout's been light, and I would encourage all of y'all to go talk to your family and friends and get them to come up and vote. It's down. You can enter on this east side. There's signage over there. We have reserved parking. The early voting will go through next Tuesday, I believe, and then the election day voting will be at the same location, but it'll be on Saturday the 7th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's 8 to 5 now. It'll be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the Saturday, May the 7th. That's my report.
All right. If there's no questions or comments, we'll move on to item number 8, which is committee reports. And so, Kelly, if you would give us our quality committee report, please.
I will. The unpaid readmissions within the last 30 days are, we're going to be discussing December, January, and February. There were 3 in December, 2 in January, and 4 in February. These are currently being reviewed by a physician to see if there was any that were related to the first admission. Health, and I will update that at the next meeting of what the outcome of that was of the physician review. Healthcare associated infections within the facility are 0. Invasive procedure related infections are 0. And year to date so far for 2016 is 0%. And 2014 we had a 0%. So our infection rate is awesome. We had 4 falls in December, 0 in January, and 2 in February. That's anywhere within the hospital. And only one of those, and that's one of the ones in February, had a injury. There were no other injuries to patients, and there have not been any never or sentinel events. The ED monthly average length of stay, right now we're averaging about 116 minutes. We had 113 in December, 118 in January, and 124 in February, and February was the highest monthly census of 686. In December, we had 1 complaint and 0 grievances, also in January and also in February, 1 complaint each and 0 grievances. We reviewed our quarterly HCAPs, and as you can see, we are still well above the national and the Texas average on our HCAP scores for the last quarter, which is dated 7/1/15 to 9/30/15. And several of these we've improved over the last quarter from that. So we've made some good strides in our HCAPs and are keeping them in the high 80s to the high 90s or into the mid 90s on several of them.
I have a question. It says these are 2014 and 2015 dates for these HCAPs.
Yes, that's,
There is
They
a
run about
delay.
6 months behind.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. It's most current we
Well,
have.
HCAPs don't come directly to here. A survey goes home with the patient or gets
A
sent to the
survey's
patient
mailed.
after they leave. When and if they fill it out and send it back, then somebody takes and compiles that stuff, and then ultimately they tell us. So,
And the survey's even mailed by a third-party
Right.
vendor. We can't mail them.
right.
Okay, it's the first time I've seen this graph. That's why.
Okay, sure.
It's basically the same form like when you buy a new car. Except it's about healthcare, and so I assume we follow them out to the car when they're leaving. Yeah. Is there anything that'll keep me from getting a good score?
Well, the other thing on that too is the questions are the same. It doesn't matter what facility. The questions are standardized as what can be asked on the survey. The next page is our occurrence reports. I apologize, October through December is not posted on there. I'll have that updated and can provide it. But as you'll see, in January there were 32, February there were 47, and in March there were 81. Of those, the medication-related ones are the most in the documentation issue. A lot of those on the medication are minor issues that, and pharmacy is dealing with those, and they're working on a PI to get that number reduced.
All right. Any questions about Kelly's quality report there?
On this sheet where all the reasons are with the reason codes, it seems like these numbers are going up. Are we just getting better at keeping track, and we didn't keep track better before? Is that why the numbers are going up? It's not like we're getting more incidents, it's just maybe we're actually tracking it better.
We are tracking it better, plus we're also promoting, there's a better understanding within the facility of these are not punitive, and you're not writing up the person, you're writing up the process, and so they've seen a better trend in fixing the processes within the facility. So we're getting more feedback back, and people are feeling a little more comfortable writing them up.
Cool.
Used to, if you heard pink sheet, everybody was like, oh, but now y'all just say, write up a pink sheet, and they're like, okay.
Cool.
So,
All right. Is there anything to add on the Budget and Finance Committee
No.
report? Building and Planning, we did have a meeting this month.
Yeah, there's no action that needed to be taken. It was related to the sale of the property for the construction of a laundry service, and during that meeting there was discussion with potential buyers. I don't think there's anything came out of that need to be brought back to the board.
All right. And so we do think we're kind of full steam ahead on that.
Yeah,
All right. Item number 9 is discuss if necessary, take action on approval of the Board of Directors resolution to authorize CEO to negotiate on terms and conditions of contract with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission, Medicaid, for re-enrollment.
This is a standard. Medicaid has gone out to all, I guess, to all the hospitals and asked them to re-enroll. The last time that we did a re-enrollment, I believe it was about 3 years ago. So this is a standard document that goes into our application with Medicaid, but it does require a resolution from the Board of Directors for us to participate in the Medicaid program.
All right, any discussion about that?
So what would happen if we didn't approve this?
We'd not be in the Medicaid program. We would be a pre-Medicaid patient.
So you couldn't, like, get the information and bring it to us and have us approve it at the board meeting? Whatever the agreement is, as opposed to delegating the authority to you to it?
Oh, we could do that, but I mean, do y'all want to negotiate the fee schedule with Medicaid? That's what it really boils down to, you know.
I think it would be the blind leading the blind if the board did that. I think even Dr. Burrows probably is not as well versed in Medicaid, Medicare stuff, you know. I think our, on my mind went like the person that's in charge of billing for the doctor's
Business
office.
office manager, yes, Charlotte Winters, yeah.
Right. Charlotte would probably be the go-to person.
She is.
All right. So any further discussion?
I move we accept the resolution.
We have a motion with,
Let me say, let me modify that to approve the resolution.
okay. So we have a motion to approve the resolution. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Show that it passed 7-0.
Dr. Burrows, for signature.
All right, item number 10 is generally my favorite one we do. Ray and I had discussed this the other day, and I started sending it around because I realized we did it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
I started to say we have a group of ladies, but I do think that we have some men that volunteer around here,
We did.
but not as near as much as the ladies do. And I noticed a while ago that they bought us some wheelchairs and stuff, but I finally noticed, and I'm tightwad, so I've been looking for a really good deal, like on a used TV to put down in the lobby and stuff. So I come in one day and I noticed we have a new TV down there. So, you know, I come up to Ray and I say, hey, you know, we're like fighting over pennies up here, you know, we're buying new TVs. And he said, no, you know, the volunteer ladies bought that for us. Well, then I get to talking to Sharon Lawler, and then she tells me that they bought some AEDs, one for senior care and one for outpatient therapy. And so, as recently as today, she said, oh, we've got X number of dollars, and I'm not going to let that get out of there. I'm fixing to go upstairs and talk to Ray to see what somebody needs in this building. And I can't tell you, it is a blessing to have those kind of gifts. And there's nobody in town that dropped off TV. There's nobody in town that dropped off AEDs. There's nobody in town that brought some wheelchairs. These ladies take out of their time, and the men take out of their time they could do something else. Everybody has something else to be doing. Thank y'all very much for what y'all do. Luckily, I've not had to sit in the lobby without a TV, but I can tell you, I'd go crazy. And so, y'all have blessed this organization with not only your time, but with your efforts and stuff. Thank y'all very much. And, you know, I think everybody knows, but I'll go ahead and say it. Sharon worked down here a long time. I've worked several places. I've never once went back and volunteered at the place I used to work. Not one day. And I see Sharon down here, I think, more since she retired than I did when she was working on it. And so, thank y'all very much. Item number 11 is public comments. Now, I know this group better than that. There's bound to be somebody that's got something to say.
I recognize Bruce Miller, who's here from Baylor representative. Bruce, thanks for being here.
Well, I have a question. If
Sure.
I'm allowed to do that.
Sure.
Ray, would you mind elaborating just a little bit on your contingency plans that you're developing, since we have only 8 days worth of funding? if Luminant doesn't pay up?
Let me tell you, we've met with the, I'll tell you kind of where we are. Our step one is we met with the department managers last week and again today, and you know, the first thing we've done is we go back to them. We're a little over budget on our salary and wage expense for March, and we're probably a little over in April since April's over with. We told them in May for salary and wage expense will be under budget. You know, we expect them to do that. We also said that there'd be no paid travel or meeting expense. If they want to go to a meeting, they go to the meeting on their own expense. Some possibility of reimbursement later on for that, but don't plan on it. So if you have an education expense that is not required by the organization, be prepared to pay for it. All discretionary expenses are being reviewed, and none will be approved if the department can live without it. Replacement employees will have to be approved by administration before a replacement employee will be hired. We have budgeted raises scheduled for June, and I've told the employees that those raises will not be given in June. Some possibility, no guarantee. Some possibility they might be given later during the year. We also in June, for employees that have been with the organization for 5 years or more, they can sell back some of their PTO, and we tell them they'll not be selling back their PTO this year. We'll not be buying it back. It pays cash. So, you know, again, some opportunity for that to be probably our plan on that will be you can sell back in June, and you can sell back in December if we have cash. Whenever we make the December PTO payment.
Can I interrupt you to say, so we're not misinterpreted? They don't sell back all their PTO. They're only allowed to sell a couple of days, depending on how long they've been here. I don't want that misinterpreted out. They're from tomorrow.
There's policy in place based on the number of years you've been here, how many you can sell back, but it's not much.
Ray, there's something that I think you might want to explain. When we say we have 8 days of cash, that was at that particular fixed time. We have cash coming in every day
Yeah,
to the billing department. The 8 days is the benchmark we were at then. It's not like in 8 days we're going to close.
yeah, and that's a good point, John. I appreciate that, because we collect,
Thank you, Bruce.
we average $50,000 a day in collections. You know, we collect $1 million a month from our operation, and that is our goal, and that we pretty well fairly consistent in hitting that. A couple of months earlier in this calendar year we did, but the last 2 months we've been over $1 million. So it's just a matter of us projecting when we're going to need a certain amount of cash and being able to hit that, and that is a worrisome operation, but we do it.
And I don't think the general public realizes December, January are terrible months in the hospital business. People don't get sick. They've got Christmas presents to buy. They've got turkeys to buy. They've got grandkids coming. They've got elective surgeries go way, way down, and people just don't get as sick around the holidays. And of course, January, they got bills and stuff coming in, and so if they get sick, you know, it's a have to. You know, I think we see a sicker patient in January than what we do the rest of the year, but healthcare kind of gets put on a back burner for December, January, and so it's just the nature of the beast. People would rather spend their money on fun stuff than on hospital stuff. And our collections go way down in December and January, unfortunately for the same reasons. And so December and January are typically the 2 worst months in the hospital business.
I'll just add that if we did want to lock the doors, my understanding is we would have, according to Texas law, Workforce Commission, because of the number of employees we'd have to give them 90 days notice on the doors, so people would know. We couldn't just lock the doors.
So let me tell you, I'll go to the bottom of the list, or sort of the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is, you know, we'd be required to keep at least 2 med-surg beds open, so that we have a med-surg operation, and we would be required to have an emergency room. Very worst case scenario is that we'd cease all operations except our emergency room and our And our med-surg, we keep 2 beds operational, keep them staffed, so we keep our license for a hospital. That's way down the line, but we think it's important to be thinking of that. Let me give you just one other thing that we talked with today to our department managers. Told them to be anticipating that if it looks like that Lumina is going to appeal, we're going to have to take more drastic measures. What we need in non-operating revenue is we need about $100,000 to $150,000 a month in non-operating revenue. So when we get our tax dollars, we pull about that amount every month into our operating side. But we told the employees, the department managers today, and I'll tell you, they probably haven't communicated this to their staff, but they'll know now because you asked, and I think I have an obligation to tell you. We told them to be prepared, be thinking about that if limited appeals, that we'd go on a 72-hour work schedule rather than an 80-hour work schedule, and that the employees would not be able to take PTO for that other 8 hours. A day every payroll that we expect our employees to take that without pay. And I will tell you that is not just employee, that starts here and goes down. So just so you know that but we have, and I told you the very bottom line, and we thought about that. We've checked with our attorney on that to make sure that we have a plan in place, and I sort of appreciate this. It is our way of communicating to Lumina that you're not going to shut us down. You may cause us to change our operation. You may cause us to you're going to have to pay us sometime. You have to pay us. When you pay us, we'll still be a hospital, and we'll still be able to refocus and whatever state we're in to refocus on our operations. Don't think we're going to get there. I'll tell you that, but I think it's important that we have at least had those thoughts. And I will tell you, I discussed it with the medical staff this afternoon. The medical staff is on board, absolutely on board.
Well, if it's in consolation, EFH just didn't do that in Somervell County.
Yeah.
Every county that they have a power plant in the state of Texas, they pulled the same exact stunt. They brought in this expert, which is what's funny. They paid him alone $20 million. And that don't count their other expenses, all the other stuff they've done. I have no idea what their actual bill for this is going to be when it's all said and done. They could have easily paid us and made money at this point. But
I would just ask Ray that you, for the other people here that may not know, if Lumina had paid us like they should have, where would we, what kind of shape would we be in?
Well, we'd be in very good shape, and that's kind of what's frustrating about the whole thing. We've done our cash projections for the whole year, and with if we'd been paid the 1.6, not the people, if we'd been paid the 1.6, we believe that by the end of the year, with those dollars, with some other dollars that we have from Medicaid for low volume, and then on our being able to do IGT for the 11-15 program in September, when we generally run out of money. That we'd be in very good shape at the end of the year. We still believe at the end of the year that we're going to be from a cash position that we'll be at our goal of 43 days. But we got to get there. We got to get there, and it won't be easy, but I will tell you we'll get there. Thank you for that. I appreciate the question.
Well, I hope I didn't alarm anybody by asking that question, but I was curious.
Absolutely.
oh no, I think everybody's. If people don't realize how stressful it has been on the administration here over the past 2 months, are very mistaken. It's been extremely tough.
We'll get there.
All right, any other public comments or questions? Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Motion second, all in favor, raise your hand.
Ladies doing all right this evening?
I'm sure we take the rent today.
Nina, did you get a copy of the minutes? Send us, somebody sign it.
Good, how are you doing?
Great.
Back in the camera. Oh, I just want to turn it up.
Yes, I have.
Enjoying those grandbabies?
Oh, yes. Oh,
I was looking out there. I said,
Normally, it's about an hour.
My administrative assistant went out there and also said, "That's work." She said, "What are you gonna miss most?" I said, "I know this Yeah, I can miss the sunsets.
Yeah.
And she said, "I should have worked with them," and so, I went, "Oh."
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, there's not.
And so,
Hey guys, what's your
once
contact?
again,
Just open up and leave them.
Whether or not the initial noise was made properly. Whether or not it's true, what the judge said.
No, but see, if they, best case scenario for them, if they were to win the appeal, they would send it back to the trial court, back to the judge, to hear it all over again. You know, everybody knows, everybody that people were involved, that we try to take the
Last fall where I could
judge,
say,
there's
I should
involved.
have caught the house, but another.
It's just gonna be something wild.
I do, they said cameras, and they said,
I can tell you, my big building, Virginia.
And I'll tell you what, I think one of the most interesting was right the other day.
Yeah.
Because they had three hospitals.
But this is just about to take place. That's all it's been different.
Hospital involved. They all closed.
They're just like Chip said,
And basically,
because
they
they
could
had to pay more money than they thought they were gonna do. You got some guy making $15 or $20 million a year, and he was looking for another one, or half, or something. So, and, you know, well, the company.
I got everything in one day.
actually, I got it.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it was Wichita.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was a VHA. And so, yes.